Greetings, my excellent friends. The Dead Monk welcomes you to Purgatory. So, if I had been making videos a year ago, 3-4 years ago, what I would have been saying at the time, when the Force is female and we need more women in Star Wars and all that, what I would have been making videos saying is, well, fine, put in Mara Jade. Mara Jade is a great character. No, they didn't do that. Or put in Jaina Solo. No, they didn't do that. These are both characters from the extended universe. So if you know nothing about the EU, Mara Jade showed up very early on. The Timothy Zahn trilogy about Admiral Thrawn, which came out I want to say early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. And it takes place about 5 years after Return of the Jedi, and Mara Jade's in there, and she's great. She had been an operative of the Emperor. She was called, I think it was the Emperor's Hand, so he would just send her off to do his bidding, and she was supposed to kill Luke Skywalker. Didn't happen, and so she hated him. And over the course of many, many books, many years in the Star Wars universe, they fell in love and they got married and they had a kid named Ben. But he doesn't exist now because, EU, that's out. Jaina's another character they could have put in, which I thought Rey was basically supposed to be Jaina Solo, except she's a really bad version of it. No offense to Daisy. This is all offense to JarJar Abrams and Ruin Johnson. But Jaina, Han and Leia, they had 3 kids, 2 twins, Jaina and Jason, and then another son named Anakin. But you want some female characters you can add in? Great, Mara Jade, Jaina Solo. And they had a storyline, what's it called? Legacy of the Jedi? I think it's called. Or it could be, I can't remember. There was the Yuzan Vong War, and then there were 2 more series of books. One was called Legacy of the Jedi. I don't remember what the other one was called. Anyway, it was one of these 2. But one of these, it would have taken place roughly the same amount of time after Return of the Jedi as the sequels that Disney made take place. So they already had it in place. You had Mara Jade, you had Jaina Solo, you had lots of other characters you could pull from. And so why they wouldn't include her, either one of them, but especially Mara Jade, why they didn't have her in there, it was just crazy to me. You had all these characters, but no, they threw the entire EU out, except Thrawn still exists. I have had no interest in Star Wars books since Disney bought Star Wars and threw out the EU. But I checked recently just to see what there was, and they're making new books, and they're making Thrawn books. So what? You kept Thrawn? You should have put him in the movies. I mean, in the EU, he was dead long before that, but still, they threw the EU out so they can keep the character, and they could have put him in there. He would have been a great villain. No, they had that, what's his name? Hux? Guy's a tool. So anyway, they kept Thrawn. So I thought, why didn't they keep Mara Jade? She could have been in these movies. It would have been great. Well, it would have made it better. There's no way it would have been great with Jar Jar at the helm. But anyway, so this has been my thought since Disney was making these movies, is where is Mara Jade? And look at this. Now that they've killed off Luke, now that they've killed off her husband, Lucasfilm eyeing Emily Blunt to play Mara Jade in an upcoming Star Wars movie. Seriously? Now? Now you want to put in Mara Jade? I mean, I guess if you're gonna make... What's Emily Blunt? So she's too young to play the character if it were the same character, and at the time of the new sequel trilogy. So I'm assuming this doesn't take place in the same time period. So, I mean, you can have Luke, but you'd have to have him recast. And it's way too early to recast Luke. If you're going to recast Luke, it should have been before you made the sequel trilogy, which is what I thought they should do was... Well, no. No, forget that. Alright, so let's see what this actually says. The Star Wars sequel trilogy has so far given us drastically different post-Return of the Jedi world from the one seen in the expanded universe fiction. Yeah, but if they keep trying to draw characters from it, obviously they realize, wait a minute, this was better than the stories we're telling. Which is now known as Star Wars Legends. No, I just call it Star Wars. I call the Jar Jar verse Jar Jar Wars, or maybe Star Wars fan fiction, whatever. Still, many fans remain hopeful that a few of their favorite non-canonical characters will one day appear in live action, and it seems Lucasfilm does indeed plan on bringing some of the more well-known figures from the EU to theaters. Sources close to We Got This Covered. Yeah, they threw a bunch of Star Wars articles at me today. I'm looking at 3 of them. The sources told us that the characters like Luke, Han, Leia, etc. are all gone from the franchise and are on their way out. Well, duh. 2 of them are dead, 1 is literally dead. And the sequel trilogy is about to wrap up. The studio's not looking to the expanded universe because they're out of ideas already. JarJar Abrams was creatively bankrupt before he even made the first one. But they're looking to the expanded universe for ideas on where to go next, which is what they should have done in the first place. And one person that they're eager to adapt to live action is none other than Jade. Most well known as Luke Skywalker's forced-using wife in the alternate continuity. No, Jar Jar Wars, that's the alternate continuity. Honestly, there are 3 continuities. There's the original trilogy continuity, there's the prequel continuity, because it doesn't make any sense if you try to put those 2 storylines in the same universe, and then there's the sequel trilogy, that's its own continuity. And the books fall in line with the original trilogy far more than this sequel nonsense. Anyway, Jade was once brainwashed by Emperor Palpatine and became his right-hand woman. Brainwashed? I don't remember that part. Must have been the patriarchy. Of course, Luke managed to free her, and the 2 eventually got married. Luke managed to free her. No, it's complicated. And the 2 eventually got married and had kids. In addition to training the next generation of Jedi. Yeah, I'm sorry we got this covered, but you have some facts wrong here. They had 1 kid. And, yeah, I don't remember brainwashing. I mean, everyone under the influence of the Emperor has been brainwashed. If you want to use that argument, well, okay. And while it's pretty obvious that Lucasfilm won't be able to stick to the source material that closely, given the rise of Skywalker will likely be the last we see of Luke. Well, no, of course you can't stick to the source material. I mean, it's all out the window. We're hearing that they're prepared to make some changes to the character as they're eager to have Mara in a future Star Wars movie. Or feeling that, a Disney Plus TV show. Yeah. And the best part, they're eyeing Emily Blunt, or Emily Blunt type actresses for the role. I like Emily Blunt. Mara Jade is a fiery redhead. I don't know if Emily Blunt's quite right. Oh, I mean, she's good. It could definitely work. As long as they're not casting Brie Larson or something like that. Of course, at this early stage, there's no guarantee we see this happen, and even if it does, they may decide to go in another direction and choose someone for the part who's a far cry from the aforementioned Blunt. But at the moment, we can tell you that Lucasfilm is definitely very interested in having Mara Jade up on the big screen, and for Star Wars fans, that can only be a good thing. Alright. Here's the only way this can work. Episode 9 comes out in a few months, right? As soon as that comes out, they disavow the sequel trilogy, throw that out the window. All right, none of that ever happened. It was Luke's monster milk fever dream, or whatever. It was a forced hallucination. I don't care what you want to call it. It never happened. All right, so yeah, you throw those out. That's non-canon. You wait 5-10 years, give everybody a break from Star Wars. Maybe you have your little TV shows. They can also be non-canon. But you take a little break from Star Wars. You come back, and these actors are too old to play the roles, but that's alright, because you don't need the story to take place in an age-appropriate or a time appropriate for the ages of the old actors. Time frame. Start adapting some of these EU books. Okay? Just go with the ones people like, or the ones that you think would make good movies. I mean, they've been out for decades. We know what people like of those. We know what people don't like. Start adapting those. So yeah, you can have Mara Jade. And you can have this take place not that long after Return of the Jedi. It's just you'll have to recast the actors. And that's fine. As long as we have a nice break in between, let people get over their dissatisfaction with the JarJar Wars. Better yet, let Disney sell Lucasfilm Star Wars to somebody else. Sell it back to George Lucas if you want. You can probably get it for pennies on the dollar at this point. It's not worth anything. So that would work, but you can't have Mara Jade without Luke. I mean, you could introduce the character, but unless you're just going to have her be a small part in one movie and that's it, no, you can't have her without Luke. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Mara Jade. When they said, oh, we need to add in all these women into Star Wars. The only other character, so I already mentioned Jaina Solo, right, and Mara. Well, the other one I would have said right away, why isn't she going to be in anything? Ahsoka Tano. And I would say that she is the only good thing to come from the prequel trilogy. Those movies are rubbish. She wasn't in those, but they made that Clone Wars cartoon, and she's from that. And she's a good character. And as I said, I think she's the only good thing that came about from that shit prequel trilogy. So yeah, they want to have her as well. I mean, we've heard rumors about this before. I like how I keep seeing all the exact same pictures. Wait, I need to actually read this because I haven't. Alright, Rise of Skywalker, blah 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 blah. We got this covered as heard that Lucasfilm want Ahsoka Tano in the future Star Wars movie. Or finally, in that live-action show, our sources tell us that keen on bringing her to the big screen for the very first time. We even heard that she could show up in one of the upcoming trilogies. This isn't confirmed yet, but Losers trilogy is thought to be based on the Knights of the Old Republic games. Yeah, so way before her time. Yeah, okay. Given that, it's likely she would turn up in Johnson's trilogy. Oh, that'll go well. Oh. Rosario Dawson. Okay. Oh, that'd be cool. So, yeah, she's another character that you could have put her in there. I mean, she was young in the Clone Wars, so sure, she could have still been around for the sequel trilogy, and she's not human. She has a different lifespan, just like Yoda, Chewie. They're all other races. They have different lifespans. So yeah, you could have easily put her in there. No. Why weren't these characters in there to begin with, especially Mara Jade? Although, putting her in there, I mean, it just would have ruined the character, because these movies are rubbish. Oh well. But that's all I have to say about this. Why wasn't she in there before? Now they want to put her in there after they already killed off Luke. It's so stupid. So stupid. But that's Disney, that's Kathleen Kennedy, that's JarJar Abrams. They're so dumb. Well, on the other hand, I have something that actually makes me happy about Star Wars. I saw this other one. As I said, they were just throwing all sorts of Star Wars articles at me today. George Lucas shows off original unaltered cut of Star Wars publicly for the first time. I thought it didn't exist anymore. I'm pretty sure I remember hearing that in one of the special editions, I mean, there have been, what now, 9, 10 different versions of Star Wars and Empire and Jedi. Something like that. But yeah, over the course of one of them, they said, oh, well, the Masters are completely gone. We don't have the original anymore. It's gone. It's been altered. We had to cut it up to make these special editions. It doesn't exist. Well, apparently it does. Oh. And, yeah. Currently, this is the best way of being able to watch the original trilogy unaltered, or at least close enough, except I'm fortunate to have this. They didn't sell them that long. Oh, come on. Yeah, these are 2-disc versions that came out on DVD many years ago. Each one's 2 discs. You have the Shite Special Edition, and then you have an original version, which is really just a transfer from the Laserdisc, so it looks like shit. Which is unfortunate. Now, the real best way to watch Star Wars, just do an internet search for the despecialized edition. That's the best way to watch. Unless there's been a better way in the last couple of years. I haven't looked in a while. But yeah, the despecialized edition. That's how you watch Star Wars. Alright, anyway. There was a time in movies where the computer-generated graphics were the dreams of fools and wackadoos. Computers, those room-sized contraptions, making art? Oh, a hearty laugh ensued every time. This is why the original Star Wars, released back in 1977, only used the... Oops, that was... Sorry, I didn't mean that. They used the actual real title for it. I'm impressed. However, with the advent of usable computer modeling in 1997, yeah, special edition, bad. Cleaning up the effects, that's fine, but like those added scenes, that stupid scene with Jabba, letting Greedo actually shoot at Han, no, bad. Recently, though, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences obtained the rights to show an original, unaltered 70mm print of Luke Skywalker's original call to action. The only altered part, well, wait, if it has an altered part, how can it be unaltered? That's contradictory. The only altered part was the addition of A New Hope subtitled during the opening crawl. Yeah, that's an alteration, so it's not the original. It's been altered. It was not called A New Hope in 1977. It was just called Star Wars. It was not called Episode 4. But that's a tiny alteration. I don't like it, but it's better than all the other changes. This screening is a major surprise too, because old sourpuss George Lucas, yeah, he is an old sourpuss, that is accurate, has been steadfast over the last 2 decades about his decision to mess with the spectacular special effects and replace them with oddly smooth early 90s Toy Story characters. Yeah, the same guy that fought against the colorization of old black and white movies because, art shouldn't be changed. Hypocrite. Or maybe our Disney overlords had something to do with that, who knows? Preemptively giving it to Disney. Alright, so apparently that's being shown. Oh well, I recall having the original box set of unaltered VHS tapes. Well, was there ever an unaltered version on VHS? I mean, at the very least, they added Episode 4, A New Hope, which was an alteration. But other than that, I think that might have been the only alteration on some of those old sets. Well, anyway, good to know that George was fibbing a bit. An unaltered version of Star Wars still does exist. So that's good news. I like that. Alright. So, everybody else, be like him and be excellent to each other. Farewell. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it and would like to encourage me to make more, please consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks again. A bientôt.